Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I will be reading from the compilation titled Outlaw Creative, The Geometry of Life. Tonight's reading will be from the chapter titled Mystery Stretches the Moment. That being said, let's get started, shall we? Mystery stretches the moment. 1. Mystery stretches the moment because it refuses to close the circuit. When a thing is fully explained, fully revealed, fully possessed by the mind, time collapses around it. Explanation is compression. Exposure is compression. Certainty is compression. The event concludes itself. But mystery, by withholding its final piece, extends the arc of attention. It leaves the thread uncut, and the uncut thread hums. Human perception is not merely a mechanism for gathering information. It is a field of tension. Attention seeks resolution. It leans forward. It waits. Where resolution is denied, the lean persists. The waiting deepens. In that deepening, time thickens. One does not merely pass through a mysterious moment. One inhabits it. The moment becomes elastic. 2. Desire operates by the same law. When everything is shown, desire burns quickly and is done. When something is concealed, suggested rather than delivered, desire extends itself. It does not terminate in consumption, it circulates. The imagination moves to complete the image. That movement is not passive. It is generative. The mind participates. Participation stretches duration. The ancient dramatists understood this. The monster was never shown in full light. The hero's final fate was often spoken of rather than depicted. The unseen is more expansive than the seen because it recruits interior space. The mind becomes the stage. An interior space is larger than any visible frame. 3. Mystery is not ignorance. It is structured incompletion. Ignorance is absence. Mystery is arrangement. It is the deliberate preservation of depth. When a painting leaves the face in shadow, it is not because the painter cannot render the face. It is because the shadow does work that detail cannot. Shadow slows the eye. In the slowed eye, contemplation arises. In contemplation, time dilates. What would have been glanced at becomes gazed upon. What would have been consumed becomes encountered. The philosopher notes that modernity despises this dilation. The contemporary impulse is toward exposure, immediacy, transparency. Everything must be known now. Everything must be declared. Every silence must be filled. Yet in this total illumination, the moment shrinks. Nothing lingers. Nothing reverberates. The world becomes a sequence of resolved data points. A life of resolved data points is brief. 4. Consider music. A sustained chord before resolution carries more emotional weight than the resolved chord itself. Suspension is tension held. In the holding, the listener's body participates. Breath changes. Muscles tighten. The ear anticipates. The longer the suspension, the deeper the involvement. Resolution provides relief, but the relief is shorter than the suspense. Mystery functions as suspension in the architecture of experience. It keeps the note unresolved. It keeps the cadence incomplete. It holds the body in expectancy, and expectancy elongates time. 5. The child understands this intuitively. A story that withholds its ending is retold, reconsidered, replayed. A toy whose interior workings are hidden fascinates more than one whose mechanism is transparent. The unknown is not threatening in its proper form, it is animating. The philosopher distinguishes between destructive obscurity and fertile mystery. Destructive obscurity conceals in order to dominate. Fertile mystery conceals in order to invite. The difference lies in intention. One withholds to control, the other withholds to deepen. When the withholding deepens, the moment gains layers. Each layer is another plane of duration. The visible surface is one moment. The invisible depth is another. They coexist. Thus the present expands vertically as well as horizontally. 6. In love, the principle is unmistakable. The beloved is never entirely known. Even in long intimacy, there remains an interiority that resists possession. It is this irreducibility that sustains affection. If the beloved were exhaustively comprehended, if every thought were predictable, if every reaction were foreseen, desire would contract. Mystery in love is not deception. It is the recognition that the other exceeds one's grasp. That excess produces awe. Awe is a temporal expansion. In awe, seconds lengthen. One stands still before the ungraspable. Where there is no awe, time accelerates. Familiarity without depth produces boredom. Boredom is the collapse of duration. The moment becomes thin. 7. Mystery stretches the moment because it introduces infinity into the finite. The finite event, a glance, a gesture, a fragment of speech, opens into an unseen horizon. The mind traces possible meanings. Each possible meaning is another path. Each path is another extension of time. The philosopher calls this the multiplication of vectors. A single clear statement points in one direction. A statement rich with ambiguity points in many. The mind must travel each direction in turn. Travel requires duration. Thus ambiguity, when crafted rather than careless, thickens the present. The poet thrives here. The fragment that rearranges the room without announcing its arrival is a fragment that contains vectors. It does not dominate, it radiates. 8. There is also an ethical dimension. When everything is made explicit, moral life becomes transactional. Rule, response, conclusion. But when mystery is permitted, when motives are not immediately judged and situations are not instantly categorized, patience enters. Patience is temporal generosity. It allows unfolding. To rush to clarity is often to rush to reduction. Reduction simplifies the moral field and shortens the moment. Complexity resists that shortening. Complexity insists on staying with the tension. Staying extends time. An ethic that binds the speaker as much as it judges the world must leave room for mystery. It must acknowledge that final comprehension is rare. That acknowledgement produces humility. Humility slows speech. Slowed speech lengthens encounter. 9. The technological age seeks to eliminate delay. Streaming replaces waiting. Messaging replaces letter. Instant reply replaces contemplation. Yet the psyche was not built for continuous resolution. It was built for rhythm, approach and withdrawal, concealment and revelation. When revelation is constant, concealment must be rediscovered deliberately. This is why silence now feels luxurious. Why a handwritten letter carries more weight than a text. Why a photograph with shadow moves more than one with full flash. Shadow restores the stretch. 10. Art that endures rarely exhausts itself on first contact. It returns to the viewer with new faces. This is not because the work changes, but because its mystery remains. The incomplete space within it allows repeated inhabitation. Each return is another temporal extension. A work that is fully grasped in a single glance may be admired, but it will not be revisited. Its moment ends. Endurance requires inexhaustibility. Inexhaustibility is mystery structured into form. Thus the greatest works are not those that explain themselves, but those that refuse final explanation. 11. The body responds to mystery before the intellect names it. Breath slows. Pupils widen. Attention sharpens. There is an instinctive recognition of depth. The organism leans toward the unknown because the unknown promises expansion. Danger and desire share this root, but the philosopher is careful. Not all mystery is perilous. Some is luminous. The luminous unknown draws without threatening collapse. It stretches the moment not by fear, but by invitation. One lingers not because one is trapped, but because one is compelled. 12. To live without mystery is to live in perpetual conclusion. Every conversation resolved, every image explained, every silence broken. Such a life becomes efficient, but it does not become rich. Efficiency shortens the interval between stimulus and response. Richness thickens the interval. The thickened interval is where reflection occurs. Reflection is not instantaneous. It requires space. Space is temporal as much as spatial. Without mystery, reflection dies. With reflection gone, depth thins. Thus mystery is not ornamental. It is structural to a life of depth. 13. The philosopher returns to the opening claim. Mystery stretches the moment because it prevents closure. Closure is the seal on duration. Mystery leaves the seal open. The event remains active. It reverberates. It echoes beyond its visible boundary. A figure walking into a storm, face unseen, birds circling. Such an image refuses final meaning. Is it grief? Is it power? Is it exile? Is it summoning? The mind generates narratives. Each narrative is another extension of the original second. The image lasts longer than the frame because it persists in imagination. Imagination is temporal multiplication. 14. One must be cautious not to confuse mystery with obscurantism. Obscurantism hides emptiness behind fog. True mystery hides fullness behind shadow. The difference is discerned by whether the encounter deepens upon return. If return yields nothing new, the mystery was false. If return yields further layers, the mystery was real. Real mystery nourishes. It does not manipulate. 15. In the end, mystery stretches the moment because it honors finitude without pretending to exhaust it. The finite human mind cannot hold infinity, yet it can gesture toward it. Mystery is that gesture. It signals that more remains than can be grasped. In recognizing this excess, time widens. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I will be reading from the compilation titled Outlaw Creative, The Geometry of Life. Tonight's reading will be from the chapter title, Mystery Stretches the Moment. That being said, let's get started, shall we? Mystery stretches the moment. The widened moment is not frantic. It is steady. It holds. It breathes. It allows imagination to enter, desire to circulate, reflection to unfold, and awe to arise. A life that preserves mystery is not withholding truth. It is refusing premature conclusion. It is choosing depth over immediacy. It is choosing resonance over consumption. And resonance lingers. The philosopher closes with a simple observation. Where mystery is preserved, presence expands. The second becomes layered. The glance becomes an encounter. The image becomes a field. The word becomes an opening. Mystery stretches the moment because it leaves room for more than the moment can visibly contain. In that room, time unfolds.